Act number 11 of 2022 to change the name of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund to National Assembly Library and Resource Center, eliminate the ambiguity in the chairmanship position of the Governing Council, streamline the functions and duties of the Governing Council and the Office of the Director General, and to provide for application of the funds of the National Assembly Library Resource Center to set up the Assembly Museum and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Julius Roveri. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 14th March 2024. I now invite Honorable Roveri to move that the bill be read a second time.
Mr. Speaker, I am Professor Julius E. Honvere, Owan Federal Constituency, Edo State. I rise to move that a bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Act number 11 of 2022, as ably enunciated by Mr. Speaker, be read a second time. I so move.
Any seconder? Leader, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, I rise to second the motion for the second reading of the bill to amend the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Act. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, please can you lead the debate?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very, very much. This is not new to this floor. You know, we all know that we have what is probably the most beautiful edifice for a library in the country today, which is equipped with state-of-the-art technology and is designed to promote research, documentation, and improve the deliverables of members of the National Assembly on the floors. In this particular amendment, the issues are fairly straightforward. One is to change the name to reflect what the facility is supposed to be, from National Assembly Library Trust Fund, which doesn't really capture what that facility is supposed to serve, to the National Assembly Library and Resource Center, because the building is equally supposed to serve as a resource center for documentation, for research, organizing conferences, workshops, exchange of materials, and providing reading spots for members of the National Assembly and the public that want to spend a quiet time to engage in some intellectual gymnastics. It is also to clarify the chairmanship position of the Governing Council between the Speaker and the Senate President, as well as define clearly the duties of the Governing Council and the Office of the DG. In addition, we've been talking about a museum for the National Assembly, and this amendment would include sections that will enable the National Assembly to deploy funds to that area.
Order, please. Order.
It is sad that a lot of the documentations, even recordings from the colonial times, post-colonial, the First Republic, even as late as the last 5, 6, 7 years, are scattered all over the place, and people cannot consult them, both for historical memory and for other purposes. The museum will serve that purpose and cure that lacuna in the structure of the library as a national project. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill designed to make good what was not really good. to define clearly and place our library in the context of international standards, the way the Library of Congress operates, or even many years ago, the great library of the great University of Ife, now called Obafemi Awolowo University. So I urge my colleagues to please support this amendment so that we can enjoy the facilities there the way it is in other areas.
Order, please.
You are sitting behind me. Are you creating trouble? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader. I think this is a straightforward bill. Without any waste of time, we'll just put the question. Those in support of this motion, should say aye. Oh, sorry, seconder. Okay, Honorable, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains Ademori Adeokuye. I speak for the good people of Shomolu Federal Constituencies, specifically from Lagos State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the House Leader, and I pray that it be supported by all our members and be given speedy passage. I so second, sir.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members. A bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Act number 11 of 2022, change the name of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund to National Assembly Library and Resource Center, eliminate the ambiguity in the chairmanship position of the Governing Council, streamline the functions and duties of the Governing Council and the Office of the Director General, and provide for application of funds of the National Assembly Library Resource Center to set up the Assembly Museum and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to the Committee on Legislative Library Research and Documentation for further legislative action. You are wrong. Honorable colleagues, the second order of the day is commencement of debate on general principles of a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Solid Mineral Development, Michika, Adamawa State, as a training institution for the development of solid mineral, make comprehensive provisions for the management and administration of the university and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Zakaria Dauda Nyampa. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 19th October 2023. I now invite Honorable Nyampa to move that the bill be read a second time.
Order, please. Please, silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, the great Ian Zazo, my distinguished colleagues. I am Dauda Zakaria Nyampa, member representing the people of Madagadi, Michika Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I rise to move a motion for a bill for act to establish the Federal
University of Solid Mineral Development, Michigan, Adamawa State, as a training institution for the development of solid mineral, make comprehensive provision for the management and administration of the university and related matters. I so move that the bill be read the second time.
Any seconder? Honorable Fage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Barrister Muhammad Bello Shehu, representing the people of Fage Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by my colleague, Honorable Zakaria. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. That is have it. Honorable, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague. I remain Dauda Zakaria Nyampa to lead this debate on a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Solid Mineral Development, Michigan, Adamawa State as a training institution for the development of solid mineral and make comprehensive provision for management and administration of the university. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, permit me to lead this debate on the general principle of the Federal University of Solid Mineral Development, Michigan, Adamawa State, Establishment Bill 2023. You will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Thursday, 26 October 2023. The bill seeks to establish the Federal University of Solid Mineral Development, Michigan, as a training institution for the development of solid mineral and make comprehensive provision for the management and administration of the university. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Michigan local government is blessed with abundant reserve of solid minerals, a valuable resources that hold the key to unlocking economic prosperity and sustainable development for our people. However, despite these riches laying beneath our soil, we are yet to fully harness their potential due to lack of specialized education and training in this field. The establishment of the Federal University of Solid Mineral Development in Michigan, Adamawa State will address this critical gap by providing a dedicated platform for education, research, and innovation in the exploration and utilization of solid minerals. This institution will serve as a beacon of knowledge, attracting students, researchers, and industry experts from across the nation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have the lead debates so bulky, I may not want to take all because of our time. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague, the need to encourage specialized education in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. Hence, the urgent need to establish the Federal University of Solid Mineral Development in Michigan, Adamawa State. In line with the federal government policy on education, I therefore urge and beg my respected colleagues to support that the bill be read for a second time and refer in line with our rules. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues. I so move.
Honorable colleague, this is an establishment bill. It doesn't require any debate. So we'll just go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. A bill for an act to establish Federal University of Solid Minerals Development, Michigan, Adamawa State, as a training institution for the development of solid minerals, make comprehensive provisions for the management and administration of the university and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to the Committee on University Education for further legislative action. The third order of the day is the commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to make provision for widowhood leave to be given to man or woman whose spouse died during the subsistence of the marriage, to enable the widow and widower mourn the deceased spouse and make immediate arrangements for the challenges ahead and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Said Musa Abdullahi. Honorable members recall that the bill was read the first time on
Silence, order, please.
27 July 2023. I now invite Honorable Abdullahi to move that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Said Musa Abdullahi. I represent the people of B. Diagba Kokacha Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to move that a bill for an act to make provision for widowhood leave to be given to man or woman whose spouse died during the subsistence of the marriage to enable the widow and widower mourn the deceased spouse and make immediate arrangements for the challenges ahead and for related matters be read the second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Kui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains Ademori Alukuye, speaking for the good people of Shomolu Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Seidu. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Saidu, please can you lead the debate?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have about 3-page debate on the proposed bill, but I wish to seek the leave of the House to share a personal experience and a personal story as it relates to this proposal. Mr. Speaker, in the month of January, at the instance of my governor, I was delegated to have a meeting with one of our stakeholders back home. Mr. Speaker, I went to his house as early as good morning. Order, please. Honorable colleague, please return to your seat. And while we were having... Order, please. While we were having our meeting, Mr. Speaker, in the middle of the meeting, the man I went to see started gasping for air. Mr. Speaker, within the period I went to his house and the next 1 hour, the man became a dead person. He died in the course of our meeting. I had to rush him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. While we were at the hospital, Mr. Speaker, I had to reach out to his family, called the wives, and everybody came to meet me at the hospital. I could see the pains, the agony of the family while we were hoping that the said man would make it out of what he was experiencing. Unfortunately, he didn't make it out. He didn't make it out of the ailment. And 2 weeks afterwards, I decided to pay a condolence visit to the family. Unfortunately, while I was there, I could see the second wife, who of course is a working class woman, struggling to meet up with some official engagement. And that prompted the urgency with which this proposal was prepared for a second reading. Mr. Speaker, death will come. Death is a necessary end for all mortals, and it will come when it will come, according to Shakespeare. But Mr. Speaker, what followed after that, especially death of a loved one, is something that is very, very traumatic, something that is very, very injurious to the emotion of the victims. And because of that, we decided to come up with this proposal in order to address the challenges that especially the women would have faced when they lose their spouses. Mr. Speaker, we draw inspiration from the provisions of Section 38, subsection 1 of the Constitution,
Okay.
which is very emphatic about...
I can see your face very well.
Which is very emphatic about the freedom of thought, conscience, and the religion. Mr. Speaker, we also make laws for the good governance and welfare of our people. And I feel this fall under the welfare of our women folks. Interestingly, in this country, we have provisions for maternity leave. And in fact, even recently, we have provisions for paternity leave. Maternity leave in this country is, I think, about 4 months for women and 2 weeks for men. So because of that, Mr. Speaker, I urge and seek the support of honorable colleagues to look at this meticulously to look at it from an unbiased perspective and support the bill in totality in order for us to be able to give consideration and create accommodation for our women who are subjected to, our women and men who are subjected to agony after the loss of their loved ones. I so submit for the consideration of the House. Thank you. The details are well spelled out in the debate which we have shared around.
Honorable, you want to make a comment? Okay. In favor or against? Against. So let me find out if there is anyone who is in support. Where are the polygamists? Okay, Honorable Adekuye, please go ahead. Honorable Adekuye, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permit me to mention my name once again, Honorable Ademori Kuye, speaking for Shomolu Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. I rise to support the bill as moved by my colleague for the provision of widowhood leave for widows and the widowers. Mr. Speaker, I think this bill, if passed into law, is just going to give a legal backing, a statutory backing for our culture and our tradition. Ordinarily, when a spouse loses his partner,
silence, please,
so to be a man or a woman, particularly our women, by our culture, they are permitted to stay indoor, like 40, some 30 days, depending on the society the woman is from. Mr. Speaker, if we pass this bill into law, it will just give a legal reinforcement to that culture, permitting them to stay indoor and mourn and grieve for their lost ones. Mr. Speaker, my mother went through this experience when we were young, when she lost her husband. And we just learned that a week after, they were calling her to come and resume at work when she was still grieving. And she was in her 38, maybe 32, 33 years old. And the family felt it was wrong. They had to tell her to resign from that work because the culture must be obeyed. The tradition must be followed. And that was how she lost her job. Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with our honorable colleagues to look at this bill from an unbiased mind and look at the experience that our widows are going through. And please support this bill, the passage of this bill. As a second, sir.
Yes, Honorable. You still want to speak? Yeah, but you said you want to speak against. You have withdrawn. You have withdrawn now. You have been persuaded. Yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, Julius Ihonvere, Owan Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I think this is a very important bill. But I fear that if we do pass this bill, we'll be back here to request for leave when somebody loses a son or daughter. Because that can also be very, very painful. I have gone through it. So we may think of a bereavement bill to formalize,
silence, please,
to formalize what is already going on. I've headed agencies before. I've been secretary to a state government. And whenever such happened, there was never once you hesitated to approve either a casual leave or a special leave or whatever for such a person. but I can appreciate what he's saying. At the committee level, they may debate whether it will be 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 4 months, or 1 year. You can never put a time because the pain continues. Some of these pains last forever, for a lifetime. But that will be at the committee level. But I'm thinking, rather than calling it a widowhood leave, a bereavement leave may be more encompassing. So that we're not back here in 4 years saying, oh, when somebody loses a daughter or a son, he should be granted special leave to go and do that.
Honorable Saidu,
Hello.
it's good that you listen to the contribution from the leader. He's suggesting the change of name to bereavement leave. The compassionate leave you are requesting. So perhaps before we put this motion to question, if you want to respond,
Okay.
whether you are in agreement
Mr.
or
Speaker,
you want it to be maintained as it is.
I think that can be taken care of at the level of the committee. But for emphasis, I think there is a misunderstanding about the bill. We're talking about widowhood. Widowhood affects the man and the woman. And I explained why we came about this. As it were, in our civil service rule, we have just 14 days accommodation for anyone that is bereaved in the civil service route. So, in 14 days, if we're looking at it from the point of our religious belief and cultural beliefs, you will appreciate that it's not enough to accommodate what the man or the woman really needs after going through such an experience. I want to be very, very emphatic. As a Muslim, when a man dies, a woman is expected to spend 4 months and 10 days in observing Eid. As it were today, they do not have such accommodation. I did mention my experience with a lady that just lost her husband, you know, in a very unusual circumstance. And 2 weeks after, there were demands on her to perform official duties. So we came about this looking at our religious belief and our cultural belief. And I'm sure if we take time to look at the bill which has been gazetted, we will appreciate what we're trying to achieve with it. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for the additional explanation. So we go ahead and put the question. Those in favor of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. A bill for an act to make provision for widowhood leave to be given to man or woman whose spouse died during the subsistence of the marriage to enable the widow or the widower mourn the deceased spouse and make immediate arrangement for the challenges ahead and for related matters. Second reading.
Order, please. Bill referred to the Committees on Public Service Matters and Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development for further legislative action. The fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnic Act 2010 to establish Federal Institute of Technical and Vocational Education, IMECO, Ogun State, for the purpose of providing qualitative education in technical and vocational education and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Aboyega Nasir Isiaka. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 4th October 2023. I now invite Honorable Adeboyega to move that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Agba King of Ise Ekiti, Yanzaza. My name is Boyega Nasiru Isiaka. I represent Yewa North, Imekwa from Federal Constituency of Ogun State. And I rise this morning with your permission to move that the bill to establish Federal Institute of Technical and Vocational Education in Imekwa be read for the second time. Thank you very much.
Any seconder? Any seconder? Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, my name is Honorable Danladi Suleiman Agwe, member representing the good and very fantastic people of Lokoja, Kogi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kogi State. I hereby second the motion and the bill that the bill should be read for second reading. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Isaka, please lead the debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The bill, the motion is for a bill
Honorable
to
Batera.
establish Federal
Honorable
Institute of
Batera.
Technical and Vocational Education
Batera, please.
in Imeko, Ogun State. And this bill rests on two pillars very quickly. One is that one of the pathways to development of any nation now that is getting known all over the world and for growth and poverty reduction is skill acquisition and vocational training. And we also believe that for a nation to grow very fast, the depth of skill acquisition in the country will quite aid it. And this is probably the reason why the Federal Ministry of Education, in its renewed roadmap for 2024-2027, is also working towards ensuring that all the local governments in the country have, local government headquarters, have at least one institute that promotes technical and vocational education. It is in this light that we propose this. The second one is that Imeko is one of those border communities that require a lot of development to increase the level of economic activities and also reduce, inter-border crimes. Aside the Nigerian police and the Nigerian customs, there is no other federal presence in Imeko, even as a local government. And we feel that this will help in enhancing economic development in that axis. It is on these two pillars that I urge and appeal to my colleagues to let this bill be read the second time. The bill provides for the administration and all other provisions that are necessary for the bill, for the school in the institute to be run very well. I therefore urge that my colleagues should support that this bill be read the second time so that this school, which my people dearly are yearning for, can be established. Once again, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity as I urge my colleagues to please support in allowing this bill to pass. Thank you very much.
This is also an establishment bill which does not require any debate, so we'll put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act 2010 to establish Federal Institute of Technical and Vocational Education, Imeko, Ogun State, for the purpose of providing qualitative education in technical and vocational education and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to the Committee on Federal Polytechnics and Higher Technical Education for further legislative action. Honorable colleagues, the fifth order of the day is a motion on alleged trade deal between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, allowing UK lawyers to practice in Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Oke Chinda and 48 other honorable members. Honorable Chinda is invited to move the motion.
Silence, please.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, I represent Obiabo Federal Constituency. I'm an Ikwereman from River State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, the motion is on the alleged trade deal between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, allowing United Kingdom lawyers to practice in Nigeria. The motion is sponsored by 49 members of the House, including my humble self. The House notes the recent reports and public outcry over an alleged economic and trade partnership between the United Kingdom and Nigeria, aimed at exploring new opportunities in key sectors such as energy, legal, and financial services sectors. The House also knows that the trade deal became very heightened as the legal aspects appeared lopsided and tilted mainly in favor of the United Kingdom to the detriment of qualified Nigerian lawyers, in that it seeks to allow United Kingdom lawyers to enter the Nigerian legal space and practice, but not vice versa. The House is aware that under the trade deal referred to as Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership, ETIP, the British Business and Trade Secretary, Kemi Badnoch, and Nigeria's Minister for Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka, were to sign an agreement on behalf of their respective countries. The House is also aware that it was also reported that under the trade partnership, Nigeria committed herself to working towards removing barriers that prevent United Kingdom lawyers from practicing international and foreign laws in Nigeria. The House is further aware that while the deal seeks to foster collaboration between the film and media industries in the United Kingdom and Nigeria, it does not cater for the interests of Nigerian lawyers, as there are no such provisions or opportunities for them to practice their trade in the United Kingdom. The House is cognizant of the fact that while it is good for Nigeria to enter into partnership deals with other countries for the purpose of unlocking future opportunities and thus contributing towards boosting the country's economy, such deals must be seen to promote, preserve, and protect the interests of the generality of Nigerians. Also cognizant that in furtherance of its lawmaking powers under Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the National Assembly has a duty to inquire into matters such as this in the overall interest of the country and her citizenry. Further cognizance that following the public outcry over the said trade deal, the Nigerian Bar Association, through its president, issued a statement questioning the legality of the legal services aspect of the deal and calling for a halt to its signing and implementation. The House is concerned that the statement issued by NBA President may have reassured Nigerian lawyers and doused the tension and controversy generated by the alleged trade deal. It is apparent that there was insufficient consultation with key stakeholders and affected interests with respect to the deal. The House is also concerned that there is an urgent need for the Parliament to investigate the said trade deal between the United Kingdom and Nigeria with a view to ascertaining the terms and conditions thereof. The House is worried that unless immediate pragmatic steps are taken to investigate and address this issue, the country may unwittingly be entering into a deal whose terms and conditions may in the long run be unfavorable to the country and the overall interest of Nigerians. Therefore, the House is called to resolve to urge the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to immediately halt the signing and implementation of the trade partnership with the United Kingdom until the terms and conditions governing the same are fully examined and ascertained. The House is also called to mandate the Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements to investigate the matter and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I so move.
Before I put the question, is there any comment on this? Or we're all satisfied and we're ready? Comment? Also, you want to make comment? Honorable Garba Inua.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Right Honorable Inua Garba, member representing the marvelous people of Yamatu Deba Federal Constituency from Gombe State. Mr. Speaker, I want to use this medium to commend our colleagues who are in numbers showing a sign concern over this trade deal with the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, this kind of attitude at this time that Nigeria want to consolidate its position in trying to improve our institutions allowing the superpowers to encroach into our domain while we are not fully prepared, creating unnecessary hurdles for our professionals in Nigeria is very, very dangerous. I quite concur, agree, and accept that the prayers in this motion are not only important but cogent, very, very apt, because we have to stop this until Nigeria is matured enough in so many aspects to go shoulder to shoulder with the superpowers. I am not a lawyer, but I have a brain. They are learned, I'm educated. We know they are coming in with so many things that will not favor Nigeria, that will not favor Nigerians. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm urging and calling our colleagues to see that this concern, show of concern by our colleagues, see the light of the day by approving all the prayers so that this trade deal will be halted and the committee that decided with the responsibility should investigate why, how, and when I report back to this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any more contribution? If you are from the outskirts of Lagos, in an area that can neither be called urban or rural, you may rise to comment.
Thank you very much.
Honorable GB, do you fit into that?
Yes, I am, sir. I accept,
So,
sir.
thank you. Go ahead.
The Ian Zazao, the Agbaki of Ekiti. Mr. Speaker, I remain Baba Jimmy Benson. I represent the Ikorodu Federal Constituency, which is the Miami of Lagos. Mr. Speaker, common law is what we practice in Nigeria. And the common law we adopted from the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, the United Kingdom that wants us to open our doors to its lawyers does not allow, there is no reciprocity. As a Nigerian, if you want to practice law in the UK today as a Nigerian trained lawyer, there's a mandatory exam that you have to do. It's called the QLTT, Qualified Lawyers Transfer Test. So it is unbelievable that the Ministry of Trade and Investment will sign a treaty or an agreement that would allow an influx of UK trained lawyers in Nigeria. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Chinda's motion is apt, appropriate, and I urge all of us to pass saying with the speed, I'm wondering what is faster than the speed of light. With the speed of light. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Jimmy. Yes, Honorable Rotimi. After you, the Honorable behind you can also speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Akitunde Rotimi Jr. I represent the good people of Ekiti North 1 Federal Constituency, comprised of the good people of Ikole and Oye local government. Mr. Speaker, I very much align with the provisions of the motion. It is very worrisome if there is no reciprocity and you have people from another jurisdiction coming to take up job opportunities at this point in time. However, I must bring the attention of the House to the fact that the Honorable Minister of Industries, Trade and Investments has in multiple media engagements stated that she was misunderstood and misquoted. and that the impression that has been out there in the media is inaccurate. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I would want to move a motion or to seek for the amendment of the prayers that the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment should be invited before the House so that she can come and explain what exactly transpired so that we don't preempt any situation if that is not the accurate picture. So, Mr. Speaker, mine is to move for the amendment of the prayers that the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment should be invited before the House. Perhaps,
Honorable, if you amended, let's put the question first, and then you can take your amendment.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
You just wanted to make a comment. You understand? So, any seconder? Any seconder? Yes, Honorable. Go ahead.
Right Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, I am Dr. Yinka Lukuhamed, representing the entire people of Ilorin South, Ilorin Federal Constituency of Kwara State. I rise to support and second the amendment rightly moved by my colleagues, so I so second.
Are you seconding an amendment or what?
Yes,
no,
amendment,
we have to,
you
have to second the main motion.
I'm seconding that the Honorable Minister should be invited to throw more light before we can halt or take any action on the bill.
Are you seconding the motion in general, or you are seconding only a specific prayer?
Honorable Speaker, sir, I am seconding the motion as amended by my colleague here, that the Honorable Minister
Honorable,
should be invited.
we did not second the main motion itself. So, yes, Honorable, please can you go ahead and second?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Akoni Clement Ademola. I represent Ilabolu Adro, Ifeda, your federal constituency. I rise to support the motion as moved by my colleague. I so second.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Rotimi, you can now come up with your amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, my name is Akitunde Rotimi Jr., representing the good people of Ekiti North 1 Federal Constituency comprising Ikole and Oye local government. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion for an amendment to the prayers to seek the leave of the House to invite the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment to brief the House on this matter so that issues can be clarified as necessary. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder to this amendment? Any seconder? Yes, Honorable Chinda. Are you seconding?
No,
or you
sir,
want to...
I just want to draw our attention to prayer 2, which takes care of the proposed amendment. Clearly,
Okay.
it's an investigative motion.
Go ahead.
It's an investigative motion. Because it's an investigative motion, we're asking that the relevant committees be allowed to investigate and get the veracity of this claim and come back to the House. So the minister can actually appear before them. Rather
correct.
than giving the minister 5 minutes of fame.
Honorable
to
Rotimi,
appear before
I'm
the
sure
whole
you
House.
are well guided. If we are calling for an investigative hearing, then it means any person can be called upon to actually contribute. So making the invitation of the minister as a separate prayer, I don't think if it is in order, because the investigative hearing will probably include him among others to be invited to come and give their own
Thank you very much,
opinion
Mr.
on this.
Speaker, for the guidance, and thank you, Leader, Honorable Minority Leader. However, the very first prayer states that we should urge the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to halt the signing and implementation of the trade agreement. Mr. Speaker, we can't ask to halt something that is not being before consideration to be signed in the first place. I just think we just need to be a little, to just exercise some caution, to listen to the Honorable Minister. If this is not the case, then we wouldn't have a basis to ask her to halt it. So that's why I just think that maybe at the committee level, Mr. Speaker, but that first prayer about halting the signing of this MOU, I think it contradicts the prayer that I have, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, I don't see any issue in that. I think it's just calling for a suspension of any further action until the outcome of the investigation is out to guide us as to whether the decision is right or wrong. I don't think if there's any problem with that. Are you having any problem with that?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I defer to your wisdom and to the wisdom of the others of the House on this matter. But just to clear, I am also deeply particular about the fact that Nigerian lawyers should not be shortchanged in any way. The Nigerian Bar Association has also gone on record to also state their position in this matter. I just think that the House should be, open and inclusive of all opinions. However, I defer to your leadership and wisdom, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
Rotimi, I think the investigative panel will ensure that justice is done to everyone. Thank you so much. So we just go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the committees on treaties, protocols, and agreements for further legislative action. The sixth order of the day is a motion on the need to encourage the growth and development of indigenous construction companies in Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Abdullah Ibrahim Ali Halims. Honorable Halims is hereby invited to move the motion.
Distinguished honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Abdullah Ibrahim Halims. I am from Kogi State, and I represent the good people of Ankpa, Omala, Federal constituency. I rise to move this very important motion on the need to encourage the growth and development of indigenous construction companies in Nigeria. The House notes that indigenous construction companies are business entities registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, as a limited liability company and other relevant authorities such as PENCOM, ITF, COREN, DPP, etc., with the sole aim of engaging in construction work within the country. Also notes that
Honorable Halims, I'm sure even the people closest to you cannot hear you. Can you speak a bit louder, please?
Sorry. Also notes that the indigenous companies have complied with relevant annual taxes to maintain their businesses. Concern Nigeria after 63 years of independence lacks locally grown indigenous construction companies capable of competing with foreign firms for major construction projects like port facilities, buildings, roads, railways, airways, and runways. Aware that the areas indigenous construction companies lag behind their foreign counterparts includes equipment ownership, compliance level with health, safety and environment standards, organizational structure, and financial capacity. Also concerned that foreign companies have dominated Nigerian construction industry, while Nigerian companies have been shut out due to lack of capability. Cognizant that if not addressed properly or promptly, indigenous companies in Nigeria may face closure. The House resolved, 1, to urge the federal government to provide equal opportunities for indigenous construction companies to thrive. 2, also urge federal government to mandate all ministries departments and agencies, MDAs, of government to ensure that certain portion of their projects that are earmarked for indigenous construction companies. Number 3, further urge the federal government to provide tax relief and exemption duty for the importation of heavy equipment to indigenous construction companies. And 4, mandate the Committee on Public Procurement, Custom and Excise and Finance to ensure compliance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
Amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Contribution?
Amendment.
Is there anyone who wants to contribute to what the deputy leader has already said? I thought he has said everything. Eh? Are you going to oppose it? Or you want to second? Now you are being a nice person. But before then, if there is a contribution, no contribution, is anyone, you want to contribute? 1 minute, please, 1 minute.
Your Excellency, the Speaker, distinguished colleagues.
But I hope you are not amending, if you are only contributing.
Contribution, just 60 seconds.
Just contribution?
Yes, 60 seconds. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Barrister Jesse Okejo Onakalos. I represent Nigerians, especially the habit of Lagos, Ocho Solo. Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, it is important to say that this very bill motion is up and is needed at this time. Mr. Speaker, I must say, bring to the attention of the House that the first road built by Julius Berger in Nigeria was Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. At the end of the completion of that construction, Daily Times then wrote that it is the worst road ever built in Nigeria. Before independence and pre-independence, Mr. Speaker, Nigerians have been in the construction, even in Lagos, of roads. I know in Broad Street, where my office is, the 6-story building there were built by Nigeria. The roads within that area were built in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker and
order, please, order, please. Order, please, can you find your seats, please?
Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, various stadiums in Nigeria, Nandia's stadium in Enugu, and other stadiums in 1980s were built by Nigerians. I want to say, and let it be on record, that federal secretariat in Abuja here were built by Nigerians. But now, after 63 years of Nigerian independence, 60% or 90% of infrastructure are now being built by foreigners against the interests of Nigerian indigenous construction. And this is not to the interest and growth of our engineering structure and construction. Mr. Speaker, I strongly believe that this is the right time we should be able to indigenize construction in Nigeria and to enable Nigerian engineers to grow. It is important that every nation reserves some percentage of their construction to indigenous contractors. And it is the right time Nigerians begin to give opportunities to construct a road, because even now, various kiosks are being built by foreigners, being given by Nigerian governors. So it is not for our own good. So it will be interest of Nigerians that we indigenalize our construction and enable us to grow for. I so support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Alima Daki. Can you second?
Mr. Speaker, my highly respected colleagues, my name is Aliyu Sani Madaki, and I represent the Ala Federal Constituency of Kano State. I stand to second the motion as ably moved by my honorable brother. I do second, Mr. Speaker.
Amendment. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Afolabi Afwakwe. I represent Abeokuta Federal Constituency. I just want to call our attention to a particular word in this motion that can negate the entire prayer. Because
Order, please. Order, please. Honorable Fulata, please can you find your seat? Please, let's be orderly.
And I
Please.
think that word, we need to change the word. You should look at the 1, 2, 3, 4. Paragraph 5 says that also concerned that foreign companies have dominated Nigeria's construction industry, while Nigerian companies have been shut out due to lack of capability. If they don't have the capacity, they lack capability, then all this prayer, there's no way it will fly. I want to change that capability probably to lack of encouragement. If you bring capability, you are saying they lack the capacity to perform. If they have the capacity to perform, they cannot be thinking about all this prayer. That is my amendment, Mr. Speaker.
So you are not amending any prayer. You
I'm
are
not
just amending the body of the motion.
We negate the entire prayer.
Honorable Alims, are you in support?
Distinguished honorable colleagues, where is that, please? Yes, I think the observation is perfect because I think it is a topographical error. I think lack of encouragement should be the proper term, not lack of capability. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So are you?
Yes.
Are you endorsing the amendment?
Yes, that amendment is in order. Thank you.
Okay, those in support of this amendment should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of this motion as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Public Procurement, Custom and Excise, and Finance for further legislative action. The seventh order of the day is a motion on the need for immediate intervention in the travels of Lance Corporal Philomena Inamoko of the Nigerian Army, standing in the name of Honorable Mary Inemite Abikake. Honorable Mary is hereby invited to move the motion.
The Right Honorable Speaker, my dependable colleagues, my name is Representative Mary Inemite Abikake, representing the wonderful, peace-loving, very patient people of Brass Nimbe Federal Constituency. I'm from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker and dear colleagues, I rise this morning to move this motion for immediate intervention in the travails of Lance Corporal Philomena Inamoko of the Nigerian Army. The House notes with concern the recent media reports about the dehumanizing ordeal of Lance Corporal Philomena Inamoko of the Nigerian Army, which also extended to the detention of her son, Emmanuel Brown. The House alarmed that the contentious issue border on allegations of sexual harassment, which is the principal thrust of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, and the United Nations Convention, of which Nigeria is a signatory. The House observes that the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, domesticated in Nigeria as an extant law for more than 3 decades, upholds that every human being shall be entitled to respect for his life and the integrity of his person. The House, recognizing that the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa, also known as the Maputo Protocol, since 2005, eloquently postulates that every woman shall have the right to dignity inherent in a human being and to the recognition and protection of our human and legal rights. The House also observes that the prescribed constitutional limits on members of the Nigerian Police Force and the armed forces of the Federation should not be deployed as a shield to perpetrate illegality and injustice with impunity. Cognizant of the fact that the National Assembly's fundamental role in making laws for order, peace, and good governance of the entire Federation entails the protection of the rights and dignity of every Nigerian citizen, including Lance Corporal Philomena Namoko. The House resolves to mandate the Committee on Women Affairs, the Committee on Army and Human Rights to investigate the matter and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. I hereby move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Yes, my honorable